Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started and call to order the Planning Commission meeting for today, March 5th, 2019. 6 members of the Planning Commission are in attendance, with Commissioner Green being excused for the evening. We have 2 items on the agenda tonight. The first is discussion about the minutes from our previous meeting. Commissioner Thomas.
I move that we approve those minutes.
Commissioner England.
Second that.
We have a motion and any discussion to the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And this moves us on to our one and only public hearing. We have House of Drapery, 9386 South Redwood Road, for a conditional use permit for pressing, alteration, and garment repair within the Redwood Road overlay and the PO zone. House of Drapery, Inc. Mark Lawrence is the applicant. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, that was fast.
We strive for efficiency.
As you said, my name's Mark Lawrence, and I'm the owner of House of Drapery and Blinds. We generate about $1.2 million in sales each year, which helps to bring a little bit of tax revenue to the city. And I'm here to apply for a conditional use permit. We currently have 2 locations. The first one is here in West Jordan, where we have our professional office, design office. We have people coming in that are both the public as well as interior designers, really from all over the world. We do work quite a bit all over the world, and so that's been an exciting part of our business. As part of that, we are a second-generation company that actually started back in 1967, and with my father, and he actually manufactured draperies, and he had the office there in Midvale for over 30 years, at which time my wife and I purchased the company, and we decided to go ahead and we needed to make a move. We wanted more walk-in traffic, more public representation, and for that reason we moved here to West Jordan, which we have been elated for the past 20 years in being here. We do have the second location in Midvale, where we assemble the draperies and do pressing, do the alterations of the draperies. And so for what recently happened was that we received some bad news that because of I-15 expansion, they are going to condemn and take under eminent domain the entire complex, which is right next to I-15, and we're in that complex. For that reason, we started thinking, well, what are we going to do? Came in, met with Lisa, and discovered that there is a conditional use permit that is authorized under pressing, alteration, and garment repair. And for that reason, I'd like to give you 5 points that I'd like you to consider tonight as to why we would fit into that conditional use. The first one would be that it actually works for a couple of different reasons. One, the city's desire is for you to retain businesses like ourselves that have been here for 20 plus years, as well as help us to be able to expand. That is exactly what you would be doing, because we currently occupy Unit C in the building. We would then expand into Unit A and B, which would only leave Unit D, which we would continue to rent out to Ellieslaw. And so it works with your guys' goals. It also works with ours, because it would make us a lot more efficient, being able to have the alterations right there inside of the office building instead of having to run back and forth to Midvale. This may actually be a blessing to us to be able to have the conditional use permit so that we can do the alterations right there inside of the building. The second reason that it works is because the actual remodel that it would require would be minimal. There would be nothing to the exterior of the building. We wouldn't be bothering anybody to the exterior. All alterations that would need to be taken place would be inside, and it really only consists of removing a few non-bearing walls to open up the space and changing out the carpet for a laminate floor, because we have to keep a completely spotless area for the alterations of people's draperies, and as well, as any types of repairs that we may need to conduct or assembly. And so it would be minimal of just laying that floor, maybe doing a little bit of patching of paint, and if necessary, increase lighting. But outside of that, it's minimal. We anticipate that it'll only take about 3 weeks to do that kind of a remodel, and it would be inside and not bother anybody. The third reason that I would like you guys to consider is that impact. The impact on the city as well as our neighbors would be almost nothing. We already have, as I said, designers from all over the world that come to the office, but specifically also have the public that are welcome and come in for walk-ins, and that would not increase. It's just the same as what it would normally be. What we currently have is 6 employees inside of that design office. We have 2 employees over in Midvale that do the assembly. They actually are a mother-daughter team, and they come in 1 car. And so impact-wise, there would also be no additional parking that would be necessary. We have 17 stalls behind our building, and Ellis Law takes up 2. That leaves 15 stalls for us to be able to occupy. Even if I was to have all 8 employees there for a meeting once a month, that would only take up 7 out of the 15 stalls. And so we have plenty of parking. The sound would be minimal. You've got just sewing machines and a grommet machine from time to time that would be producing buttonholes, and so it's minimal. Not only that, but it would be in units A and B, and we are in C. So the only one that would even hear it would be us. And so it would not be bothering anybody, not to the exterior, nor to us on the interior. And so the impact would be minimal, both to the people around us as well as to us. The fourth point that I'd like you to think about is the impact as far as water and sewer. It's going to be nothing, because we would literally be using the same restrooms that are already being used in Unit A, and Unit B and C share a restroom. So there's not going to be a problem as far as that goes. We're only having 2 people at this point coming over from Midvale, so there's not anything that is going to be increased in that nature. And if anything, it would probably be a little bit, about the same amount of water as because of the hair salon that is currently there. We would take down the hair salon sign, so to the exterior, that's probably the only change that would happen to the exterior. So no impact on water and sewage. Finally, the most important point of all as to why I would say, for you to consider us to have the conditional use permit is because under pressing, alteration, and garment repair, if you were to think about the actual machines that they use, there are 5 types of machines that both they and we use. The first type is just called a straight stitch. That's just hemming 2 pieces of fabric together, and that can be done whether it's for your pants or whether it's for a shirt, hemming it together, or whether it's for a drape. We can use a straight stitch. There's a blind hem, which would make it so that it's not as obvious. Instead of an overstitch, it would be a blind stitch. And that is also used in suits, everything, so that it's not as seen and visible. The third type of machine would be a tacker. That would be like tacking your collars. We use it to tack the pleats on the drape. Similar. The fourth machine would be a serger, which is to cut off any excess fabric. So if you're going to be hemming up your pants or whatever, you could serge it off, and it would be the same type of machine. And so almost every single machine is exactly identical. The other thing is we do use a grommet machine from time to time, and that grommet machine can be used to place buttons, just like it would be to make buttonholes on a shirt. So honestly, whether it's garment repair or whether it is drapery alteration, it's exactly the same type of machinery. And that's really what I wanted you to see tonight, that it's not a big difference. In conclusion, I would just say this. We're a second-generation company. My dad started it. we've been loyal to West Jordan for 20 plus years. We do bring in a good amount of revenue. We intend on even increasing that by being more efficient. As you guys said tonight, you're efficient. You get the things done. By you granting this conditional use permit, that would allow me to be sufficient. By not receiving it, it would put me in a very precarious situation, which may actually cause me to be able to go out of the city to try and find a location where I can do this. Because as I've pondered it, this is probably the best possible way for me to increase our productivity and our overall, wave into the future. So I just appreciate your consideration tonight and hope that you'll.
Julie didn't want to let you finish.
That was it.
Yeah, any questions for the applicant?
Yeah. Curious is about deliveries of inventory and stock. You bring draperies in, what kind of impact would a trucking delivery have to what you're doing?
It's minimal. It's really to like FedEx is probably the majority. Every once in a while, we'll get a large shipment, but even under our design office, they've granted us, I believe it was 10 trucks, like semi-loads, as long as we didn't go or exceed that. And that was back when we were doing a lot more of like the skyrise buildings, the apartment complexes. Instead, we have replaced that more with items for the LDS Church across the world. And so it's minimal in comparison with what we actually used to get. So really almost no impact.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, well, this is a public hearing, so we'll reserve any time if somebody shows up to question your motives. I think you're gonna be just fine.
There we go. No, just kidding.
You can go ahead and have a seat. We'll proceed here and get through
Okay.
this and get you on your way. Thank you. Ms. Elgin, anything you want to add?
I would just add, Mark did such a great job of presenting the whole thing himself. I would just add that this is in a professional office zone that is a general plan designation for very high-density residential, and that staff recommends that you approve this conditional use permit.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, we will go ahead and open this public hearing officially. If there's anybody here that wants to come forward and share your thoughts. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public meeting and bring us back to the Planning Commission. Commissioner Luthi.
I feel like this is a really great fit, so, it looks like Commissioner honestly wants to say something, so I was gonna make a motion, but if you'd like to add something
Any
first.
objections, Commissioner Badon?
No, my wife is a tailor. My input is my wife is a tailor, and the Jukies and the singers that you have are identical to what she uses. So I don't think this is anything out of line with the garment district you're asking for.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Luthi.
Hey, I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit for House of Drapery located at 9386 South Redwood Road in the Professional Office Zone District, subject conditions 1 and 2 laid out in the packet.
Commissioner Badon.
Second.
We have a motion with a second. Any discussion to the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we've got a unanimous motion for approval on this conditional use permit that carries 6-0. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Thank you, sir, for wanting to do more business in West Jordan. We never ever tire of hearing that, so thank you.
Should hopefully grow.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. We are adjourned.